See it.
There you
Thanks.
go.
Okay, welcome everybody. We are here just to learn about how to do the pitch competition. This is really just to give you some background information for doing your best. It's not supposed to teach you the nuts and bolts of how to pitch. Hopefully, you have been following along with WeBank's um, Pitch Academy. And if you haven't, there's still one more session coming up. It's excellent. And it teaches things about, the words you use and the voice you use and all that. This is really about how to put your pitch together and how to submit it and that kind of thing. And then also some tips at the end for doing your best and for feeling comfortable. So, um, now, you've heard this saying, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. And everybody attributes it to Oprah, but really it was a philosopher named Seneca who said that. And so we can say that our people in Florida have been really lucky, but really they've been prepared. And we can't take credit for that, but we can say that we helped, at least helped a little bit in their preparation. So the theme this year is all about impact, and it's about sharing your impact. So this is one of the things that WeBank has. Impact is what occurs when each decision, partnership, and breakthrough creates a ripple effect that reaches your employees, your families, your industry, and your economy. I love this picture because it looks like a crown, and it's in one of our colors, which is purple. So that's kind of neat. So here is this is kind of like our little Bible that we're going to be working with for a little while here. And I don't know if you all have seen this online yet, but this is what WeBank put out. You can see the theme at the top. So we're going to go through the first round, the second round, and the third round. This is available on our website, and it's at webankflorida.org, and it's also available on the WeBank website under the pitch competition. Um, so we're going to go through this piece by piece, just so you feel comfortable. One thing to note is the dates. We are right now in the regional pitch round, and that's why I'm preparing you for the regional pitch. And then you'll be moving on, hopefully, to the second round and third round. So the regional level, this year, the theme impact, it's about impacting your audience. And you have 60 seconds. It will be a virtual pitch, so you don't have to worry about being on stage or, wearing the right clothes all the way through. All you have to do is worry about being on Zoom. It is 60 seconds, and you should have a beginning and an end and capture their attention all the way. So these bullet points, they actually tell you which pieces are going to be focused on during that round. These are kind of the basics. So the storytelling techniques, describing who you are, describing what your business does, and then creating a memorable and lasting impact. And that's kind of where I see sometimes people kind of go awry when they talk about their business and they talk about what they do, but they don't evoke any kind of emotion. You want to make sure that the people who are in your audience, especially the judges, remember you. Remember you might be doing a pitch with on a local level, 20 other people, or on a national level with 70 other people, and you want them to remember your pitch. So it has to be something that really resonates with them. Just to let you know, before you get to this regional level, we do have something where you have to submit, and I don't know how many of you have read up on that yet, but you have to submit a 60-second pitch just to be considered, and there's a form to fill out and all that. And that travels with you as you go through the process up to the national level. So go ahead and fill out that form. It has I didn't put this in here, but it has your headshot, your logo, a little description of your company, and then information about where to reach you. So the LinkedIn, your phone number, your email address. on all those things. Um, One thing to keep in mind is that when it says the pitch is 60 seconds, it really has to be 60 seconds. I've seen people submit 65 seconds and be disqualified, and you don't want that to happen. It can be 58 seconds or 59, but don't let it go over. When you're in a live pitch situation, when they get to the 60 seconds, they just stop you, and that's embarrassing. So make sure it's just a little bit short. I don't, it's very hard to get all of this information in 60 seconds, I know, and still appear calm and relaxed, like you're not trying to do some kind of contest and who can talk the fastest. But I know you can do it. The second round is the semifinals, and this is where you have to decide whether your company is metric driven or mission driven. And so it gives you this little box here, and you'll find this online as well. It gives you the parameters of those. And you still have to show how your impact affects the world. So your community, your industry, and your region, plus get the basics in. So you get 30 more seconds, but you have to add this little bit in. Are you metric driven or mission driven? And so, one of the things they're looking at is how many jobs created, revenue growth, the size of your workforce, what you do for your employees, what you do for your community, how sustainable your company is, these kinds of things. Anything that kind of elevates your story and the impact that you have. And again, it can be on your local community, it can be your industry, your region, uh, or people. And keep in mind that you still have to do the basics. You still have to use the storytelling techniques, describe who you are and what your business does, and create a memorable and lasting impact. No pressure. And the third round, this is when you are in the finals. And again, like, we've had many people go to the finals. You get 2 whole minutes. Here, you do have to spotlight one impact category. And I don't know if you all have been keeping abreast of what's happening with these impact categories, but WeBank on a national level is working with individual businesses to try to make sure that we have a good showing in all these impact categories. The corporates are looking at this really closely because they want to see um, it's not as important right now that we're women owned. What's important is that our women owned companies are showing revenue growth, that they are expanding markets, that they are sustainable and green, that they are investing in technology. So this is a way of showing impact rather than, we are 20,000 women strong. Um, Okay, so again, you have to mention how your company creates this powerful, lasting impact, plus the metric-driven, mission-driven storytelling techniques, all these basics. But you get 2 whole minutes, which can feel like an hour when you're on stage. So this is the scoring criteria. Again, this is online and you'll see this, but this is what the judges have in front of them. So this is always good to know. And I've seen other people compete who haven't really looked at this. They think, okay, I know what I'm pitching. I'm just going to go for it. This is really important because you're going to be judged on your presentation is going to be judged on these particular areas. So it has to have a really unique introduction, and you can see where some of this is the same all through, except for the final, the impact. Okay, so on the first round, the impact is, does it leave you wanting more information? Is it memorable? On the second round, the impact is, does it highlight metric-driven and mission-driven impact? And the third round, does it clearly define and elaborate your specific impact category? And you all, if you need help deciding what your impact category is, that's when you can call me or you can call Nancy Allen or, reach out to us and we'll help you. And also the metric driven and mission driven. We can't help you write your pitch, but we can sure help you decide which categories to go in. And then here's our local timeline. You already know that the pitch competition is open. The application process is open. Applications close midnight, August 31st, which is a Monday. We'll announce the finalists that Friday, September 4th. And then here I put this in because this is the final session of the WeBank Pitch Academy. And again, I don't know how many of you have gone to this. It's really usually excellent. The they go through specific ideas for you of how to make your pitch memorable. And then our live pitch competition is on September 18th. So that's a Friday. And one of the things you need to know all the dates because if you're pitching and you anticipate winning, which I hope you do, you have to be available on these dates to be able to appear at the pitches. We can't just accept a video or that kind of thing for the actual live pitch. So again, I'm going to go back to this chart and here's the schedule. So November 2nd and 3rd. I don't know how many of you sat in on it last year, but it was several hours in the middle of the day where they just had one pitch after another. And then the next day they started, with the people who didn't pitch the next that first day and just started and went down the line. And so I noticed that our people were all sprinkled throughout. I'm not even sure how they were chosen. It must have been some kind of random. So it was 35 people per day, 70 participants. So each person gets 90 minutes to pitch, and then another 90 minutes is spent on questions. So I felt like maybe, the question and answer part could have been longer, but it's not. And so you have to be able to answer quickly and you have to be able to present quickly. And because there are so many people presenting, that you want to make sure that you know the answers and you can answer and not, ramble like I'm doing right now. So, I think you already probably know this, but there are four semifinalists chosen from each regional partner organization, and our regional partner organization is Florida. So, in the past, we've just chosen four and sent them on, but now they're asking us to choose two product companies and two service companies. And then there's a fifth person who we send on as the semifinalist, and that is our WBE star. This year it's Cindy Zimmerman of SS Designs. If she chooses to get into the competition, and she may or may not, then she can be sent along. So we will send five people, and all 14 regional partner organizations send five people, and that's who you're competing against at the national level. So locally, typically we get between 20 and 30 applications. I've seen us go as high as 40, and then we boil it down to 10. So this first pitch this day is you're only competing against nine other people. Here you're competing against 70, and then here, once you get to this top, you're competing against 24. And that date is November 16th. And they'll give us a time, but it's usually in the middle of the day so they can get the East Coast and West Coast all together. Any questions so far? Oh, okay. All right, so let's talk a little bit about practicing your pitch. And I love this quote. If you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it well enough. Um, Oops, looks like we lost Jamie here. Put her back in. Um, okay. So, explaining your pitch and keeping it simple is really important. So, let's talk about what you do to practice. Um, Keep in mind when you're developing your pitch strategy, what do you want them to know? This is the audience and the judges. What do you want them to feel? Because you want to make sure you're making them feel some kind of emotion, whether it's happiness, sadness, anger, whatever you want them to feel. And then what do you want them to do? So, a lot of times I'll see pitches where they're saying, I hope you'll buy from me. Well, that's not this pitch is not directed to people who are going to buy from you necessarily. This judges are are pitching, they want to know what kind of impression you're making in the world. So what you want them to do is vote for you. So just keep that in mind. You're not trying to get them to buy your product or service, um, or recommend your product or service. You're trying to get them to push you along in the competition and support what you're doing for the rest of the world. That's a really important distinction. You don't want to, if you only have 90 seconds, you don't want to spend 10 to 15 seconds of them asking them to buy something when they're not going to buy it right now. Okay. So practice, practice, practice. That's how you get to Carnegie Hall. You've heard that old joke. Um, so here are some things to keep in mind when you're practicing. Body language and tone of voice are really important. Your words are important too, but they are secondary. When you're presenting, uh, what you want to be able to appear confident, convincing, earnest, sincere, honest. And then remember that a smile goes a long way. So if you are scowling or you look nervous or you're angry or just have that, no emotion at all, your audience is going to project that as well. They're going to have no emotion and that'll make you uncomfortable. Oops, I'm sorry. Hold on. And then no one expects perfection. I know last year I saw one of our pitch competition people. She actually had something go wrong with her video, and then she said, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what to." So she had to just stop what she was doing and go forward, and she did a really good job. But it's you could see where it kind of startled her at first. I was telling people I was watching an awards presentation recently on the ESPY Awards, ESPN, and the person who was the MC, he probably knew that they were going to be recording him and quoting him, and he was a comedian and he was telling the funniest jokes, and he started to deliver a line, and he made a mistake, and I noticed that he just stopped. He stopped and started over. And it was just a split second. And if I hadn't been a speaker, I wouldn't have noticed that probably. I don't know that anyone else in the audience noticed, but I noticed it right away. He stopped and he actually gave like a little bit of a beat and then went forward. One thing that you get to know if you're in video production is that when you stop a sentence, you stop, and that way the video people can cut in between and they can cut quotes out or put quotes in. So, just one thing to tell you, if you do trip, just stop, keep going, and then keep going. You can even start the sentence over. The better you know your content, the more you can focus on the finer points of your presentation style. So I'm not asking you to memorize it. Uh, I've worked with people doing TED Talks before and other kinds of talks, and they tell you to try to remember the stories that you're delivering. Try to remember the pieces and remember them in order, and then the words will come. So as long as you know the content, the words will come. And this content is all about you and what you do every day in your life and your work. So it shouldn't be too hard. But don't let that trip you up. Don't try to memorize a speech because you'll be able to tell. Just know the content, and then you can focus on how you're presenting. And then remember to have fun. This should be fun. If you see the people on Shark Tank, if you watch that on TV, it's not life or death. They really do want to get a deal, but they're there to have fun as well. They're poking fun at themselves and the judges. And you've got this, and we know you can do it. So keep that in mind. Some tips on how to practice. So stand in front of a mirror. We all do that to get dressed in the morning or whenever we're going out. And it might feel corny, but actually study how you appear in your face. And do you look like you're angry? Like, do you have that resting face that just looks angry? Or do you look like you're interested in other people? And, that remember your audience and the judges are going to see your face because you're on Zoom, just like I am right here, and they're going to see up close. So study about how that feels. You can even try to do your presentation on Zoom and then see. And that was number three here, record yourself. It'll show you how long your presentation is running, where to cut, and it'll let you study your tone of voice, and then you can adjust. Um, and then set up your lighting in your background. So you can see me. I have a bunch of plants and things in the background. One doesn't look like it's very much alive anymore, but it is. So do you want them to see that? Do you want them to see just a blur? I mean, that one of the people who competed last year and she did very well. I was so proud of her because behind her, she had her products set up on shelves and they went all across the whole screen and you could actually read the labels and it looked beautiful and it sent a message like I am manufacturing multiple products or one product with multiple one type of product with multiple labels and it said all those things that she didn't have to say. So I saw another person who did a presentation who had her her logo up behind her, but it was backwards. So what does that say? She still did very well because she did a great presentation, but her logo was backwards. So, pay attention to what's in the background. You can actually use that. And then as you're practicing, enlist a helper. So find somebody you trust. It could be a spouse if they dare. It could be a friend or a colleague who will give you honest feedback and say, yeah, I think you're talking too fast. Or that story you told, I don't remember that being true. Or, whatever they can tell you so that you will feel 100% comfortable with your tone, with your story, and with how you're presenting. They can give you honest feedback. I was telling our CEO, Nancy Allen, how when I was working with one person on a TED Talk, she had to memorize basically or remember about 7 minutes worth of a presentation. And she was just running around Atlanta as she was walking through the parks and she'd just stop and she would start talking to people and saying, "Hey, did you know?" And she was doing her pitch to random strangers just to see what they'd say. And it worked for her. So hopefully you don't have to resort to random strangers at the grocery store or wherever. You can find some people in your life who will help you. Okay, so some things to remember when you present your pitch. Um, Again, the one important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said. So, so words are important, but the way you say them and what you deliver are also important. So the presentation, they're going to be hearing and seeing what you're doing while you're presenting. Um, So here, when your environment, again, check your lighting and your background. The judge's first impression will be what they see on your screen. Make sure you're in a quiet place. You don't necessarily have control over whether your yard people come at the same time that you're making your presentation. But if you can minimize the background noise, please do. And then for anybody who's in your life, your colleagues or your family or wherever you're working, put up a do not disturb sign and make sure you're not interrupted. Funny story. I was doing an awards presentation right after COVID broke out, and I was in a studio because I was the MC, and and so I was, in a sterile environment kind of thing. But all my awardees were everywhere. They were in their homes because we had to pull this whole event out and not have it at the ballroom at a hotel like we were planning. So this one woman is just about to come up for an award, and I introduced her and I asked her if she had a couple words to say, and her dog burst into the door, just started barking. And we all have stories like that from COVID, but she said he was being so quiet. So if you think that's going to happen, just try to put your dog outside or have somebody babysit the dog or that kind of thing. Because remember, you only have 60 seconds or 90 seconds or 2 minutes. And it's not like, you can just say, oh, I need extra time. You don't get extra time on this. Okay. So, 1 hour before, this is something we recommend. Just step away, walk around, get your blood flowing. Just try to get your mind off of being nervous. Everybody's nervous before they present a pitch, even if it's on Zoom. And again, you're not on stage, they can't see your knees knocking. You still want to just create some zen for yourself. So relax, take some deep breaths, hydrate, make sure you drink some water. You don't want to get a dry mouth when you're presenting. That is horrible feeling, right? And then laugh, have somebody funny call you or call somebody and tell some jokes and just laugh and just that just makes you feel better. And then just breathe, more breathing. You can't do too much of this. Don't hold your breath and be all nervous about it. Okay, and then during the pitch, we want to make sure you remember why you're doing this. You are doing this because your company is making a big difference, and you want to help your community. You want to help your employees. You want to help your families, your um, the people in your world, and that's why you're doing this. You're not just doing this for the glory of being on stage. You are. You are doing this because you are making a difference. And remember to smile. We always tell you that. That's a given. Um, Especially if you feel nervous when you smile, it'll make other people feel less nervous with you. And then show your personality. If you're naturally a funny person, make sure you institute some funniness into your presentation. If you are naturally caring, make sure that people can tell how much you care. Whatever your personality traits are, try to build those into your story so they can be appreciated during your pitch. This is all about you and what you and your company are accomplishing. And then you can do this. We want you to go out and make us proud. Okay. So here is my contact information. And this is where you can find online at Webeck, Florida, all about the pitch. And I'm going to stop sharing now and see if we have any questions, okay? Okay. So, how about any questions? Anything come to mind when you were watching?
Diane, I have a quick question. When you present, it's just you speaking. You don't actually have a presentation or anything like that. It's just
It's a
you
great question.
speaking. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And we had some people a couple years ago who wanted to do a presentation and they were like, no, absolutely not. It's you speaking. That's why I was saying it's so important what you have in your background. If you can use your background in any way, to
Right.
convey any information, that's great.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it's you speaking.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to confirm. And I assumed that, but you never know. So, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. But any other questions? Um, I do want to, let me see if I can find online. Have you all looked at the application yet at all?
I
I,
have not.
I
No.
started looking it up, but yeah, once I read that I needed to submit a 60-second video, I stopped because I haven't done the video. So,
Okay. All right. I'm going to try to call up the submission form. Yeah, so we can kind of walk through that too. Let me see if I can do this. Okay. Can you see what are you looking at? Yeah, you can see the submission form. Okay.
Yep, it's the form.
So, right. Okay. So the date, that just tells us when you submitted. That's easy enough. Your name, your title, company name. We do need to know products and services, as I mentioned, which one, and a lot of times you do both. And so, in your company description, I'll be able to figure out whether we put you in product or services. Like, let's say we have, more people who have products than services, but if you can get in more easily in the service category, we'll put you in there. Just this is just a point of reference, number of years you've been certified with WeBank. Doesn't have to be precise if it's like 1.6 or 6.1, we don't care. But it's nice to know. I noticed that last year we had more new members submitting than ever before. Address. The address, we're just asking for your city and state. We're not going to mail you anything. We just want to know where you're from. Um, and then the 1 minute video pitch. So we can talk through that a little bit. Um, the 1 minute video pitch should look a lot like the video that you'll be presenting on Zoom. It should be pretty close to the same thing. And then once you get some feedback from us, you can actually alter that. But that video pitch is real important. And again, make sure it does not go over 60 seconds. A link to your website, link to your personal, and if you have a company LinkedIn profile. And then the brief description about your company is important. Um, Keep in mind that this description is what we're using to try to help you determine what it is you're pitching and where you fit into um, the um, the impact categories and those kinds of things. Okay, your company logo, your headshot, your capability statement. If anybody needs help developing a capability statement between now and the end of the month, let me know. We can help you with that.